Now that shot, he looked a little surprised, and
Yeah,
given where it is, I think that was the appropriate reaction. Mr. Lundmark not giving up, wants to walk away and go home with the gold medal, putting down the pressure with a 10. So that's an 8, but right now, Mr. Burgett's first arrow could be an 8 or a 9, so we need to see the confirmation downrange, and we're going to await confirmation. I'm a big proponent of not celebrating too early because you never know what's going to be happening down there. It's not over until it's completely over, so we are waiting for those judges to inspect the arrows downrange.
Like I mentioned, it looked like that one arrow was a 9, so we'll see what happens here.
And for those of you who are used to this, we are watching downrange to see how the judge holds their hand over which target. Arrows are being pulled. The judge has not indicated just yet. They are confirming, reconfirming, and confirming again. And we have, there you go, we have our winner. It is the archer from Sweden, Mr. Lundmark, Fredrik Lundmark from Sweden, with a gold medal, hand held high, and congratulations to Mr. Lundmark from Sweden, Mr. Burgett from Norway, putting on a great show and amazing shooting from both these archers. Here's some replay of the match that we just saw. Mr. Lundmark winning in the last set and taking home the gold medal.
So close, 25-25. They both split that last set, but it was all Mr. Lundmark needed was that 1 point.
Yeah. And that is amazing. Their group stays within the 6 ring. And that was the barebow category. And now we come to the compound women's gold medal final. And here, I think we're in for a great show because Sarah Priels earlier this weekend set a new world record with the compound, and it only stood for a few weeks because that was set in Luxembourg earlier. So this is a completely new world record, and your world record holder is now here in the gold medal match. She's on the right, and Amanda Mlinaric from Croatia shooting first.
This sets up to be a great match. I believe this is number 1 versus number 2 as far as the qualifiers are concerned here at the Roma Archery Trophy. And you can tell they're both off to a great start. Looks like lighting wasn't a key or a factor in changing any marks or any left to right.
Both archers looking really strong and confident. Oh, that is just out.
Just left. Points.
That is on the line. It is being called as a 9-star.
We'll get the official word, but it's hard to tell Looks like it's in from the screen, but you never know, like we mentioned. Yeah, that world record was amazing. It was a 597 out of 600, and that's about 4 hours of shooting, 3.5 to 4 hours of shooting of that nickel-sized 10 ring, split up into 2 rounds, and Miss Priel shot a 297 the first half,
Yeah.
and an amazing 300 the second half, and sets the new world record. But yeah, 3 weeks I believe is all it lasted, and it was actually broken twice at the GT Open.
Yeah.
But it's the first archer to break the record that actually gets the record. So we can talk more about that later. I kind of think that's unfortunate. I think if it happens at the same event, it should count. But yeah, that was Ella Gibson from GBR that set the record, and it only lasted for 3 weeks. So
And Janine Meissner from Germany, who equaled that record at
yes,
the GT Open, but unfortunately didn't count. And we thought it was kind of interesting how somebody who was ranked second had the world record because of the coin toss.
right. Yep. It all is afterthought now with Sarah shooting a 597. You'll notice that we're on to actual score to determine the winner here in the compound division. The highest score wins, and we go 5 ends no matter what. So there's no sets or set points like the recurve divisions or the bare bow. Looks like a 10 to me. Close. They're going to star it just on the right side. Nice shot. Sarah's shooting a thumb-activated release, and you saw the one Amanda was shooting was more of a pressure style. So that's a little different for both.
So what are the differences, the benefits, the downfalls of shooting a thumb trigger versus a back tension or pressure type of release?
I think, just from personal experience, a thumb activated, a lot of people shoot it like a tension release. They'll lay their thumb on the trigger or any part of their thumb and kind of pull through the shot. So they're actually not manipulating the trigger with their thumb to fire it. With a thumb activated or with a back tension style release, that forces you to be on the spot when it fires because you never know when it's going to go. So a lot of archers choose that route, and it's more of a surprise every time. But you know, there's a lot of both styles, and no style is better than the other, really. And it's just personal preference and what you shoot the best.
And what you practice with the most, I guess.
More than likely, yes.
Yeah.
There are a lot of archers that practice with a back tension style release and compete with a thumb activated, but that's becoming more and more not as popular. People are going to roll with what they practice with all the time.
And Amanda Mlinaric from Croatia is actually one of the younger of the higher finishing archers here. Having just competed in the Youth World Championships this past summer in Madrid. But here she is shooting with the greats of the sport. Becoming a great of her own, in my opinion.
I agree. Sarah looks like she's got that determination she had yesterday.
Still hasn't dropped any points.
Correct.
Ooh.
That one's close.
I had to open my mouth, didn't I?
Her close arrows have all been on the right side, so it's.
So do you think that's lighting
Uh,
potentially on the field?
I think it's probably more aiming, more hand pressure. It's just this is for the gold medal match, so the
Yeah, so
gold
there's a
medal.
little bit more pressure
Yes.
in terms of in relation to the ranking round, which is just 60 arrows shot back to back. An interesting thing about the ranking round, talking about Sarah's world record, is she shot the 297 in the first half, which
Correct.
meant that she knew what she was going into with the second half because in speaking with her, she said, you know you're on record pace.
Yes.
You can't not know. And I said, so how was the last 3 arrows of your 300 score? And she said, actually, those 3 arrows were easy. The ninth end, so arrows 24 through 27, 24, 25, and 26
Yep.
were the hardest ones because now she started really realizing that, the nerves were kicking in. But then she said after she got through those 3, the last 3 were easy. And that's kind of surprising and funny.
Yes, it is.
But it does show her mental fortitude in the fact that she could back up a 297 with a 300, know that she's on world record pace, and still shoot the world
Yes,
record.
I find that amazing. I mean, she, like I had mentioned, she trains hard. I know they all do, but you're wearing down. I mean, you're 3 hours in, up to 3.5 hours into a round. You start to shut down a little bit, but you can tell she hung in there and shot well.
And we've actually had to do a target change. That's a fresh face down there. That means that they've shot so many arrows close to the middle that the lines are starting to look a little hazy.
Dead center,
That's an amazing shot.
inside out.
Good timing, good follow through, good arrow.
You noticed her bow kind of go to the side there a little bit. I think that was more of just a surprise release. Arrow's long gone, so that English isn't going to do much, but makes the archer feel better.
And we unofficially have a tied score with 1 end left to go. That makes it very interesting down on the field of play, and I think just ramps up the pressure on both of these athletes. And watching Miss Mlinaric from Croatia shoot is very, very nice to see, just watching how smooth. Don't get me wrong, Sarah Priel's very smooth as well, and she just waits for that thing to go off, and it's gone. And right into the 10 ring where she aimed it. So, in your experience with target shooting here, we can see that the archers are using your sights from Axcell, but the scope, it's got magnification in the scope. Generally, how much magnification are we talking about for a target event, an indoor target event like this? Just in case people want to know what the pros are using.
Yeah, most of the archers are going to use probably a 4, 5, or 6 power indoors. You'll see some 8 powers outdoor where the distance is a little bit farther. The downfall of using a higher power is the amount of movement you see. So a lot of these archers will use 4, 5, and 6 because it's going to minimize that movement and just make allow the archer to execute as opposed to chasing the dot on the target. Some archers use a dot. I personally use a black dot for aiming. I know some of the other top archers that use an up pin or a fiber optic pin.
Okay.
So those are all certainly all good options for what you're going to aim with.
Talk about aiming. We come into the final 3 arrows of this match. Sarah Priel's with a 10. Final arrows for each archer.
And the pressure's mounting. This is the gold medal match.
That is looking like it's just out for Miss Mlinaric.
Right at another arrow hole, so it's hard to tell. 10 will win it. Dead center.
Whoa.
It's all going to come down to an arrow call. Very, very close. Hard for us for sure with the other hole in the target to determine what it is, but looks a little high right to me. But we'll see what the judges say.
And looking downrange, the judges are inspecting that arrow very closely because this does determine the winner, if there is a winner. And awaiting the judges' confirmation, and Sarah Preels is your gold medal winner. She had the world record. She goes in ranked #1, comes out of the gold medal match as #1. And congratulations to Amanda Mlinaric from Croatia, silver medal, but still one of the rising young stars in the world of archery.
Yeah, it was some amazing shooting by both archers, and Amanda put on a great performance. I think it's pretty fitting to end with a gold medal for Sarah, and I think she done well there and deserves it after a not early exit at the last event, but I think she was looking forward to going a little bit farther. So
A little bit of a retribution type thing.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Great shooting.
And coming up in just a few moments is the compound men's gold medal final featuring a veteran of this sport who we haven't seen in a while, but we'll let them get introduced on the field of play. And there you have it. Those are your athletes for this men's gold medal final. And that man on the screen, Dave Cousins, according to Archery 360, is the only archer to win a 3D, a field, indoor, and outdoor target world champion. So this should be a good match.
Yes, he is highly decorated in archery and has been around for quite a while, and very, very successful at 42 years of age. Great start. I shot with Valerio this weekend, and he was very consistent, and I think he was very happy with the way he performed yesterday and today.
Dave Cousins coming out looking very confident in his shot.
Yes, shot was breaking at a really good time, I think.
Still a little low, which might have something to do with the lighting.
Correct.
Potentially.
Yeah, it may. Everybody else has been pretty close to dead on, but we'll see here. I'm not familiar enough with Valerio, but I think this is his first event of this kind of magnitude, so maybe a little bit of nerves there.
And there could be nerves, like knowing that you're shooting against probably when he was younger, a guy who was in those catalogs and everything. And now he's in front of a home crowd, and he's kind of the hometown favorite to bring home the gold. But unfortunately, starting with 3 low 9s is going to be hard to come back when you're shooting against somebody like Dave Cousins.
Yeah, I think I know he shot a couple 150s today in his elimination matches, 149. It's going to be a pretty big hill to climb, but you never know. That's why we shoot the arrows.
Again, it's never over until it's actually over.
That's correct.
And we can see that these archers have all been using fat arrows. We call them fat to somebody who's looking in from the outside and doesn't know archery. May not think that these arrows are very fat, but
Yep.
a lot of compound archers, if not 100% of the compound archers here, are shooting fat arrows. And you can probably give us a good insight into that on why to pick the fat arrows.
Yeah, maximum size, is a 23 diameter shaft. It looks like, both archers are using those for sure. But yeah, you see that ring down there. It's super small, and the archers want the largest arrow possible to hit that ring. So
Because if you touch the line, you get the higher
value.
Yep. value of the score.
I'm pretty sure Dave is shooting a 23-15 size shaft,
and that's an aluminum
correct.
shaft.
His arrow's aluminum, and this one is an Easton Super Drive 23, and that, again, is a 23 diameter shaft as well.
But carbon.
Full carbon.
Correct. And that's Mr. Delastuya's first 10 of the match. And Dave Cousins putting another arrow into the same hole for his second target.
A little bit of a surprise there, I think.
Yeah, and it looked like there was a little bit of a quiver, and there was something about that shot that just didn't look very solid.
Yeah, and that's generally when the shot's going to fire, is when you're least expecting it or when it's closest to the edge. So I think that's what triggered the little bit of a surprise there.
And right now we've got 58 to 56 in favor of Dave Cousins. His 3-point lead now cut down to 2 after dropping 2 points in that end. And both of his 9s actually looked low.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's a trend that is just common between both of these archers in terms of coming from the practice field to the main field. And Dave didn't look very happy with that shot as soon as it broke.
It looked like the dot probably wasn't in the center when it fired, and he was trying to English it in there a little bit, but I think it was already gone, and it probably was just a little low left when it fired.
And you can see how many people have stuck around to watch this finals, and it's very popular here to come out and watch the best of the best do what they do. And some people probably just saying, "Oh my gosh, Dave Cousins is back. This is great to watch."
Yeah, we talked briefly before his match this afternoon, and he's very excited to be able to still compete at this level where he is in his career. Just a little bit high, it looks like. So we could be within 1 point. Maybe the pressure's kind of flipped.
And that's when you need that girth of the arrow.
Yep, correct. Let's see if missed 10 points. Valerio's putting a little pressure on Dave, so we'll see how this end shakes out. But things have kind of leveled out a little bit, I believe. Another 9.
Nine or 10 on the line. But either way, if all the arrows stay as they lie, it could be a 1-point gain for Valerio. That's definitely a 9 from Dave. Unofficially, 85 to 85. And in Dave's coach's box, that's Peter Elzinga from the Netherlands, another prominent shooter, and looked like he was looking through his binoculars saying, I don't know. Dave probably asking about his first arrow to see if that was in or not, because there it is on the line. And the judges are inspecting it downrange. We won't know until it's officially confirmed downrange as to what those arrows actually score.
It's hard to tell with the holes from the previous arrows exactly, and the judges will do their best to recreate the line there. Looks like we got a tie match at 85.
Yeah, it is official. Down on the field, we are tied after 3 ends, each archer dropping 5 points. And since we are tied, we're going back to the original shooting order. And you can see both targets are getting replaced because of all the line calls that are having to be made downrange. And our crew, our volunteers, working tirelessly to make this event run smoothly. So hats off to the volunteers and everybody who makes this tournament possible and run. And they do a great job.
Yes, it's been a great event, and like you mentioned earlier, we were moved into a larger field here indoors, and that was a great move. It was able to open it up to more vendors and also a larger number of archers, so that's a great improvement. Dave needs to kind of put a plug on the bleeding here because he shot a 30, a 28, and a 27, so we'll see if he can rebound and get back into the swing of things here. There we go. There's a 10. That'll take a little pressure off. Make the second and third shot maybe go a little smoother. Valerio with a 10 of his own.
A low 10 and then a high 10. You think the next one is going to be dead center?
More than likely. I think it's just probably nerves. Whoever the archer is that wants it the most here is going to be able to pull it together. Points. There we go. It doesn't really matter what what you shot all weekend. It's what's happening right here, right now. So.
Valerio dropping 1 point in that end. Dave Cousins shooting a perfect 30 and putting himself at 115 points and going into the final 3 arrows of this gold medal match. So do you think that they would be thinking about how to aim harder or execute the shot better or anything like that? Or what goes through a compound shooter's mind at this point? Does it just relax more, or?
I think it's more execution than anything because, I've always been taught people that, aiming could get you in trouble. If you aim too hard, not enough, whatever. So not thinking about that would probably be the best thing. And I think it's just run your program, try to, I've always told myself or have told myself in the past that, just try to shoot like you're practicing at home or at the local club, whatever. Just try to execute, like you would what you're used to. And I think aiming is just could get you in trouble. But execution's where it's at.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
There you go. There's a 10. Nice shot.
It's a good, strong comeback from Valerio.
Dave knows what he has to do after seeing his arrow, so he's kind of puts a little more pressure on. Dead center.
And that's kind of the purpose of making the archer who is in the lead shoot last. But here we go with the last arrows of this match.
Opens the door for Dave. A 10 will, or a 9 will win it for him.
9 will win.
There it is. 10, 10, 10.
So congratulations to Dave Cousins. You see him pretty happy and probably relieved after that little hiccup that he had in the middle of this match. But he came back, fought strong against Mr. Valerio Della Stuia from Italy. But there you have it, your gold medalist from the USA, Dave Cousins, winning here at the Roma Trophy Archery World Series.
Yeah, I think Dave, a lot of pressure off for Dave after switching to PSE this offseason. I believe he also switched arrows too recently. So there's a lot of things that changed with Dave, and I think that's going to be a big confidence booster for him going forward for the rest of the events. This winter. So we'll see what happens at the next event. But for now, Dave is the gold medalist, and congratulations to him.
And also congratulations to Mr. Della Stuia from Italy. Looks like it was his first final in front of a crowd like this. So
and a silver medal is nothing to be ashamed of at all.
Yeah.
Some amazing shooting all weekend.
And sometimes you can feel more pressure because you're in front of the home crowd, and you just kind of want to please everybody and make everybody happy.
Yep.
So, I mean, good on him for...
I think they were happy that he was just there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not the usual Italian that you see shooting in the final. And here we go. We're going to be going with the Recurve Gold medals, my specialty.
Yes.
And we are going to hear them be announced onto the field by the field announcer. So here we go with the Recurve Women's Gold Medal Final. Back to set play because it's a recurve bow, and here we see how each of these women got here. Miss Andrioli had taken on Miss Kim Chae-eun from Korea and defeated her, then defeated her teammate from Italy, and Miss Kang from Korea shooting first.
It's a 10 passing through.
Wow.
Whoa.
Rarely see that. It was dead center. You saw the hole there.
Yeah. That is rare.
That is very rare.
10.
Wonder if they've had a camera in that spot before on this particular target.
I'm willing to bet that it's just been beaten down by the compound archers.
10. 29 points.
You can see that empty hole in the middle target. This was a new
Dead
face, so that is an unmarked hole, which we can actually talk about.
Yes.
9. 29 points.
And we are tied at 29 unofficially. It is 1-1. And the field crew right now is going to be scrambling because I just saw one of the volunteers start running towards the practice field. Kang Chae-young's second arrow in the middle target actually passed right through the target. And it's not because she's shooting a severely high weight bow weight or anything. It's just because these targets have been used all weekend long by people who are just shooting middle. There it is. Pass through. Just shooting the middle of the target all the time. So it just wears down a kind of a little bit of a hole in the middle of the target.
Yeah, especially the compound archers that are shooting Arrows that are 3 sides the diameter of these.
Yes. And as you can see, these arrows are a lot smaller than what we saw with the compound arrows. And the recurve archers generally pick a smaller diameter arrow to shoot because it comes out of the bow much more efficiently than a big arrow. And you can see the field crew there is going to be changing the target. Actually, I should say the bail,
Yeah.
because they don't want to have that pass-through continue to happen. And we're going to be probably holding for just a little bit while they reset. But this is why we tell archers to mark their holes.
Correct.
And what that means is that each archer puts a couple pen marks on the target to mark the holes that have already been shot in the target face. For a situation like a bounce out or a pass through where an arrow will, hit the target and then disappear, the judges will look for the hole that is unmarked, and that gives you your points. It's a 9 high. It's actually in the same general direction as her previous 9, which was high.
Such a fluid shot right there. It's just like,
You rarely see the Koreans take their time under the clicker. It's usually just very quick shots, just up, click, gone. Whereas you see some other archers holding at full draw just for a little bit longer. As the
Right.
Koreans actually trust their shots so much that they can just come up and let it go.
boom. Amazing. So quick. So effortlessly, it looks like.
That's their job.
Yes. Very nice shot.
And that's hard to do, losing a set with a 29. And one big difference that we also see with these archers is that Kang Chae-young is shooting from the top target down towards the bottom target, whereas Tatiana Andreoli is shooting the bottom target going up. Some people do, well, actually, I should say most people do top to bottom, but there's a few select archers, that includes me, who shoot from bottom to top. And the reason why, well, I do it is because I don't want to see shadows on the next target that I'm going to shoot. It always has a fresh aiming spot or a fresh target for me to aim at. So it's kind of a difference in how you can notice how these archers see the target and what can be drawing their eye.
Yes, what can be a distraction? I used to do the same thing as well.
Is there a reason why you switch from bottom to top to bottom?
I wasn't sure if there was a rule. Actually, at Lancaster, they asked us to shoot top to bottom.
Okay.
And instead of changing tournament to tournament, I just went to the same target in the same direction every time.
Shot what you practiced.
Yes.
Yep. Andreola is really showing a really strong performance here against one of the top archers in the world. But Kang Chae-young is showing why she is a top archer in the world.
Yeah, and she is, I think, one of the favorites going into the Olympics this year.
Again, that quick shot, that's what I think almost every recurve archer should aspire to have.
Ten.
Puts a little bit of pressure onto Kang, but I'm pretty sure she can handle it.
Yes. There it is.
There's another 10.
That's 6 straight 10s for King. Some amazing shooting.
You can see that Kang Chae-young's release is really, really relaxed too. Miss Andreoli's release is also pretty relaxed, but the Koreans have been known to have one of the smoothest and most relaxed releases. And when I say release, I mean the fingers coming off of the string. you don't want to force those fingers open. You don't want to have any tension going through your hand when when the arrow goes. So one way of measuring that is just seeing how much finger flick goes on with each archer, and you can see it doesn't even look like Kang's fingers even open. They just magically pass through her fingers, and that's how you know that an archer has a very relaxed release, and being relaxed is a lot more consistent than trying to force the shot.
Correct.
Dead center 10.
I watched these archers shoot earlier, and I noticed on Tatiana's shots that a lot of her tins were inside out. That were in the tin. She was shooting very well.
And you can see that with the arrow holes. There's nothing
Yes.
on the line, which points to two things: good tuning and good technique.
Correct.
10 each.
Tin here, and we'll have a tie match.
Oh,
Doors open.
door is open, but Kang can only tie this set with a 10
Correct.
and a 10. So now the score sits at 5-3, unofficially in favor of Kang Chae-young from Korea. Tatiana Andreoli needs to win this next set in order to force a tie and a shoot-off, and what would be our first shoot-off of the finals day. And those are always fun to watch.
Very intense, one arrow. And, well, not always one arrow, but
I think I saw something that went to a little bit longer than one arrow earlier today. Were you there on
yeah,
that side of the field?
there was multiple matches on the compound side today
Yeah.
that resulted in a tie and a shoot-off, and then an additional arrow after the shoot-off arrow just because it was too close to determine a winner, and they're closest to center.
I'm pretty sure I heard a third arrow shoot-off happened today as well.
Yep, that's possible. I can't confirm it. I must have been moving around, but it does not surprise me.
Yeah, the level of accuracy has gone up in the past few years. Right now, Ms. Andreoli leading off this set, the final set.
A must-win situation here. Even a tie would give it to Kang Chae-young. So it's a race to 6.
That opens the door for Tatiana, because if she can shoot 2 10s in the next 2 arrows, she has forced the shoot-off. See what happens here in the second arrow. She looked a little unhappy with that shot when it went off. Her eyes kind of widened up a bit and said, "Oh no."
I saw the last 2 arrows that needed to be in there went left, so not sure.
That's a usual problem with recurves. If you are tense off the string, it usually goes left for right-handed archers and right for left-handed archers.
Here's a 10. So a 9 here, and we'll go to a shoot-off. A 10, Kang Chae-young will win.
9.
Wow. And I don't think we have anything close as far as arrow calls are concerned, so we will see our first shoot-off of the day.
And you can hear the crowd is actually going wild, because their countrywoman is now in the shoot-off against arguably one of the best archers in the world for shoot-off for gold. And I'm willing to bet that this crowd is going to just go crazy if Tatiana shoots a really good arrow in the shoot-off.
I think it's the moment they've been waiting for, so we'll see if Tatiana Andreoli can pull through here.
Now with shoot-off regulation, each archer is going to get 20 seconds to shoot a single arrow at the center target. That's actually a rule. They can't just pick a target. It has to be the center face. And the arrow closest to the center will win the gold medal match. If it's too close to call, then we'll have to shoot a second arrow. But they also need to replace the targets because the judges need an exact center point called the spider or the X to measure from, just in case the arrows are extremely close.
This ought to be interesting. Tatiana shot a 10 on her last arrow, where Kang Chae-young shot a 9. So we'll see if Kang Chae-young can forget about that last shot, execute here, and she will be up first. Very
Wow.
nice shot.
Very smooth, very confident, and it's in the middle.
Inside out, we'll see what Tatiana can do here. Ooh.
Oh, it's a 10, but I think Kang's is closer.
Yes, slightly farther away, I believe.
Now, once again, I
Great
remind
shooting.
people that if both archers shoot a 10, in indoors, it doesn't matter. It's still closest to the center, and right now, Kang Chae-young unofficially has won. We are looking downrange to confirm the measurement from the judges, and they are actually measuring the arrow on the target with those calipers that you see there. They're going to make it very official, and all while not touching the rest of the target. And over to target number 2 to measure Kang's arrow. And it is official. Kang Chae-young winning the gold medal. Tatiana Andreoli with the silver. Great, great performance by both of these archers. There you have it, your gold medal winner at the Roma Archery Indoor World Series.
Yeah, some excellent shooting there, and we went the full distance. That was amazing.
Everybody got their money's worth out of this match.
I think they wish they were able to yell a little louder with the gold medal going to the Italian, but Kang Chae-young was definitely a huge roadblock that has been shooting well for quite some time now.
And you can't complain with shooting an inside-out 10
No.
in your shoot-off.
I'm pretty sure Tatiana is very happy with the way she shot.
And we are getting ready for 2 titans of industry coming up in just a few moments for the men's Recurve gold medal match. And there you have it. Here we have the grid on how these archers got to where they are. Brady Ellison defeating Jack Williams in the semifinals, and Marco defeating Gaspar Strajhar from Slovenia. And it looked like by a shoot-off. And here is where we see a great combination of carbon thin arrows being shot by Brady and fat aluminum arrows being shot by Marco Galeazzo.
Good start for Brady. Dead center for Marco.
Very good start for Marco.
You can hear the significant speed difference between just the arrows alone here.
just catching that line.
10-10-10.
All inside out.
Looked like a little bit of a long hold there, Crispin.
Yeah, and his follow-through didn't look quite as clean as his other follow-throughs have been. And the one thing that I can say about aluminum arrows versus the carbon arrows is that if it doesn't go well on the archer side, that means that if you don't do your follow-through properly or you have a little bit of a hesitation, the aluminums have a tendency on a recurve archer to be farther out than you want it.
More, yes,
More affected,
yes.
exactly. So that's probably one of the reasons why Brady has picked the thinner arrows, is because they're a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah.
However, as you saw in that second shot from Galeazzo, you can catch lines,
Yes.
especially if the majority of your arrow is outside of the 10,
Yes.
which is unfortunately how I lost against Galeazzo in the quarterfinals. He was catching lines, and I was just out.
And I watched him shoot his match against Gaspar, and it was a shoot-off match as well. So it was, the big arrows definitely helped him, I believe.
I've also lost a shoot-off against Galeazzo with his big arrows, where my carbon was actually, the center of my arrow was closer to the center of the target, but the wall of his arrow was closer. And for those of you new to this sport, if you don't know, Marco Galeazzo is actually the 2004 Olympic champion from Athens, and Brady Ellison here on the screen is the bronze medalist from the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. However, Brady has been to 3 Olympics, and Galeazzo has been to, I believe, 4. So both of these men very experienced in high-pressure situations and shooting in front of big crowds.
There you go. I know Brady defeated Jack in 3 straight sets.
With actually a perfect score.
Perfect score, and
Yeah.
he's picked that up right here with 6 more 10s.
And I know that Brady is going to be wanting retribution for last year's on this last year's events on this stage at this competition, because well, he knows that it takes perfect scores to win.
Correct.
And he's definitely taken all the steps to make sure that he is ready and shooting perfect scores. And so far he's got 60 out of 60, but scores don't really matter in recurve at this stage because you just need to win the set. But he, I know, will be looking for a perfect round.
Yep, those 10s.
Wants all the 10s.
Yes. What kind of bow weight do you think, Crispin, most of these guys are shooting as far as the recurves are concerned here?
I believe Brady is shooting somewhere in the order between 45 to 50 pounds, and I would probably estimate maybe about 45 to 50 for Galeazzo as well. It's very variable depending on the archer and what they can handle and make work. By that I mean, like, you don't lose finesse in your shot. You're not just trying to muscle it through. A little bit of a shake from Brady, and that cost him on that arrow. Galeazzo fighting back strong, taking advantage of Brady's 9.
And he will win this set. We'll be all tied up.
9 points for Brady, 28.
A little bit low on that, a little low left.
So sometimes with recurve archers, feeling a little bit of pressure can make your shoulders come up just a bit. And if your shoulders come up, your draw length shortens and you don't get through the clicker in the timing that you want. So when we eventually see Brady's second shot, it was just a little bit of a hiccup. I know he's going to come back and fight strong after this, but here you can see that little bit of a quiver in the face right before the arrow goes, and that's usually just caused from tension and holding for just a little bit longer than you really would like to.
And shooting first, target number 2, Brady Ellison.
All square at 3 set points each.
Three straight 9s from Brady.
It's a 9. It's a 10.
Galeazzo keeping it strong. And you can see Brady's eyes don't shift when he gets into anchor. It means he's not looking at his clicker, but if you watch Galeazzo's eyes and he comes into full draw, he looks down and then back up. So that is actually looking at your clicker.
Why would you do that?
He just caught that line.
Yeah, that's close.
So that's actually a little bit of a tipping point for some archers, being able to shoot while looking at your clicker versus not looking at your clicker. We know that the shot wants to go off kind of in a surprising type fashion, and that's why a lot of recurve archers don't look at their clicker. But you can see that Brady's not looking at his clicker, where Marco is basically controlling his shot by knowing exactly where in the shot cycle his point comes through the clicker. And he'll look back up to his sight pin when he sees the clicker come down the point and rest right on the exact edge or the tip of the point. So it's basically one of the ways just to make sure that the shot goes off with the same timing.
Okay.
But most recurve archers train a lot just so that we can get the shot timing down by feel. We don't want to look at the clicker, but I'm guessing that Marco Galeazzo has probably shot this way for years.
Sure. Yep.
And I know that there are stints where Brady does the same thing, but it looks like here he is just keeping his eyes focused on the target.
Just low.
Marco just needs to tie him. He just needs to shoot exactly the same arrows as Brady to win this match.
10 points. He was not happy with that when it went off.
I think it might have been sitting low because you saw
And the
the
push
follow
up,
through
yeah.
push up.
He still has to shoot a 10 here to win. It's the race to 6. We'll see if he can do it. Little quiver. And he did it.
Oh!
A 10.
And the crowd goes wild. Marco Galeazzo winning here in his home country of Italy against Brady Ellison. And
what a finale, huh?
that is a great finale. That was a great way to end off this competition with the last match. Their countryman, Marco Galeazzo, winning against Brady Ellison, your gold medal winner. And congratulations to Brady Ellison, silver medal at the Roma Indoor World Archery Series.
Some great shooting by both archers. I think they both feel like they could have probably done a little better and want that perfect 15 arrows or 9 arrows, whatever they take. But yeah, I think some overall great shooting, and I think the Italians are really happy now that they got a gold medal here at their home country with one of their archers.
Galeazzo is a very strong archer. He fights back. His form might not be very conventional, but it doesn't say on the scorecard that you shot this score with perfect form or with bad form. It's however you put those arrows down range.
Yes.
So there's a look at your champion, Marco Galeazzo, and that last 10. Right to the interview with local media, and I bet he's happy, and they're all pretty happy for him, and you can see how enthusiastic that reporter is with him. But congratulations again to Marco Galeazzo. And that does it for all of the competition here on the field of play. And we will be going with the award ceremonies in just a few moments that include all the categories. That's barebow, that's junior, that's senior, it's compound, it's recurve.
Longbow.
Longbow as well, which some of our viewers didn't see here, but there's a lot of awards to be handed out, so please stick around and watch these archers get the hardware they worked so hard with some long days to achieve here on the Roma Archery 2019 World Indoor Archery Circuit.